You look around and you already know the truth, though you've been taught to deny it. The rich keep getting richer while you struggle to get by. You work harder, you work longer, yet the bills just keep piling up. Debt is like a heavy weight that's holding you back, and deep down, you feel angry. This isn't fair. But listen closely, because fairness doesn't have anything to do with it. Money isn't fair, it's about who has power. And power isn't given to you, it's taken. That's why most people will struggle financially their whole lives. They keep waiting for a reward that never comes. They keep hoping that just working hard will be enough. They believe in rules made by people who benefit when others follow them. The wealthy don't wait. They don't hope. They design. They plan. They figure out how to use people, systems, and even the world to their advantage. They use silence, being hard to understand, patience, influence, and the way they tell their story like tools to get what they want. And while the herd prays for luck or recognition, the predator builds an empire in plain sight. This is why you stay stuck in survival mode, because you still think the game is about working hard and being good. If that were true, smart people wouldn't go broke and hard-working people wouldn't be in debt. The harsh reality is this. Being rich has little to do with being smart or talented, or even being lucky. Those are just tricks we tell ourselves. Being rich is about making smart plans, using the right tactics, and having the power to make things happen. Niccolò Machiavelli said that people forget their father's death faster than they forget losing their money. Think about that. Money hurts more than losing a loved one. It decides who lives and who dies, who's important and who's not. Whoever has it gets to control others, and those who don't see this truth are stuck working for someone else's empire. So this is where your transformation begins. Not by working harder, not by waiting longer, but by breaking the illusions you were taught to believe. Forget about being fair, start seeing money for what it really is, a tool that can help or hurt. And it's up to the person using it to make it work. In the right hands, it can be a powerful tool. In the wrong hands, it can disappear. The only question is, are you going to be a target or are you going to learn how to rise above the rest? Most people live like they're being hunted without even realizing it. They wake up, work, buy things, sleep, and repeat. They're predictable, emotional, and they don't see what's really going on. Their routines are like prisons, and they're losing money slowly but surely to someone else. The person who is being hunted believes in hard work over smart business moves. He trusts that everything will be fair and square, but he ignores the real way things work. That lack of understanding is why his hard work helps someone else get rich while his own life stays small. If you want to break free, the first step isn't about money. It's about your mind. You have to let go of the idea that you're just a worker, a pawn, or someone who reacts to every situation. Stop thinking like a victim. Start seeing yourself as someone watching the game. This person doesn't react. He just watches. He studies. He makes notes about how people reveal information with every word, every glance, and every instinct. He sees how systems take advantage of the predictable patterns of the crowd. And once he sees, he can move differently. Understand this. A person who can't be understood can't be controlled. A person who can't be predicted can't be caught. That person becomes a threat because the group no longer understands him. He moves like a ghost, outside their expectations. This is your first change. Stop being a target. Become the observer. From here, the rules for the hunter can finally start to work. Rule 1. Use silence as a weapon. Most people talk themselves out of power. They beg, they justify, they explain too much. Their words smell of desperation, and hunters can smell it. The weak think that speaking more will earn respect. But in reality, every word you give away is ammunition against you. Silence is different. Silence is a kind of pressure. It makes others feel uncomfortable. People don't like empty space, they try to fill it with talk or promises or weaknesses in negotiations. The one who can stay calm in silence always gets what they want. The wealthy understand this instinctively. They don't rush to prove themselves. They don't scramble to explain their worth. They let others talk first, and reveal their secrets. And once the room is full of their calmness, they make their move. Quick, clear, and strong. Think of silence not as nothing, but as a powerful space. It's a battlefield where being impatient can hurt you if you're not careful. Every time you resist the urge to fill the silence, you turn the invisible tension into an advantage. You control the pace. You force the other side to make the first move. To practice this, start small. In conversations, pause for a little longer than feels normal. In deals, let the other side speak first, and wait. In a situation where you disagree with others, it's best to speak less and listen more, and you'll quickly see how others lose control. The truth is simple: those who fill silence with talk are liked, while those who use silence to control are dominant. One way leads to staying broke, the other to building big successes. Which path will you choose? Law 2. Be mysterious. Just staying silent won't save you, because even if you don't say anything, your body can give away your feelings. Most people are easy to read. Fear shows in their eyes. Greed comes through in their tone. Insecurity makes them slouch. Predators can read these signals faster than most people can think, and they take advantage of them without mercy. To stop being a target, you need to learn how to be unreadable. No signs of fear, no signals of greed, no predictable reactions. You may feel emotions inside, but outside you stay calm and still. When you hide your emotional leaks, you become impossible to predict. And a person who can't be predicted can't be controlled. That person acts differently. They save money when others spend. He waits when others are panicking. He strikes when others are hesitating. Not being easy to read isn't about being cold for its own sake. It's about being in control. Control over yourself before control over others. If your face doesn't show anything and your voice stays steady, you force opponents to be unsure. They waste energy trying to figure you out. They stumble because they can't read the situation. Practice being calm. Slow down your breathing. Keep your voice steady. Don't change your expression. The more others try to read your signs and find none, the more power shifts quietly to you. To be unreadable is to step back from the game. You're no longer just a piece that someone else is moving. You're the silent force moving the pieces. If this is making sense to you, please click the subscribe button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for your support. Law 3. Predator's patience. Most people are controlled by their impulses. They follow trends, they gamble on things that sound exciting, they rush into every opportunity as if being fast means winning. But being fast without a plan is a recipe for disaster. It's a huge drain on energy and money. It makes him an easy target for those who are waiting. The smart one moves differently. He has a lot of patience. Like a lion hiding in tall grass, he doesn't waste any energy until the moment is just right. He waits while others get restless. He observes while others are busy running after things that aren't real. And when fear takes over and panic makes everyone scatter, he strikes, quickly and firmly. That's why they stay put when others sell. That's why they grow when others are running away. Their patience isn't a weakness. It's a powerful tool that's stronger than any impulse. But patience requires discipline, and discipline is exactly what keeps most people from being rich. They want comfort. They need constant excitement. They want the quick high from spending, not the feeling of being in control that comes with waiting. That weakness helps empires built by patient people. To master this rule, you have to change the way you think. Refuse to rush. Wait longer than feels safe. Wait for the setup that others don't see. Timing is everything, and timing belongs to the person who is in charge. The ones who can't wait make mistakes. Those who are patient build power. Your decision is simple. Will you act like everyone else or wait quietly until the right moment to strike? Law 4. Use other people's time and money to help you. And that multiplication is what makes the difference between having a lot and being trapped. Look closely. One person collects rent from many who will never escape the cycle. One investor gets rich while thousands lose money. One big company takes billions from millions of customers who keep buying, even when they complain. None of this is because the person worked harder. It's because they positioned themselves well. The truth is harsh. If you sell your hours, you're selling your freedom. If you sell your work, you stay trapped. The rich trade in a different way. They trade systems that make money without them being there. To master leverage, you must stop thinking like a worker and start thinking like an architect. Build positions where time, but a strong plan will keep feeding you. That's leverage. That's why one person dies tired while another becomes a wealthy person. Law 5. Money doesn't go to what's true. It goes to what people believe. Humans are not logical. They tell stories and get caught up in their own fantasies. And whoever tells the best story gets to control where the money goes. This is why some things grow into big deals, why certain brands become super popular, and why politicians can get a lot of people to agree with them. They have learned how to shape the way people think about things. The ones who are weak don't understand this truth. They believe in fairness. They think that good things will win on their own. But look around. If someone says a lie enough times, people start to believe it. When things look good, people accept them as true. And those who don't think that people are being manipulated stay behind, because they never realized that people believe in things more than they use logic. The person who is good at this plays a different game. They don't just sell things. They sell how people feel about themselves. They don't just offer food. They offer a sense of belonging. They don't just sell clothes. They sell status. The thing itself doesn't matter. The story that is told about it is what makes it valuable. To be good at this, ask one question. What does this mean about the person who has it? When the answer is good, appealing, or desirable, money flows easily. Reality can be changed in people's minds, but what they believe in is very powerful. What seems true can change quickly, and the story we tell can be stronger than facts. The person who can change the story can control a lot of things. That's why wealth goes to the person who tells the best story, not the person who works the hardest. The crowd wants to understand the meaning, and the person who can sell it to them makes a lot of money. Law 6. Substitution. The weak people substitute hard work for power. They think if they just work harder and longer, they'll finally get rich. But working hard alone is useless. Hard work does not multiply. The person who wants to be powerful substitutes ideas for work. Influence for actions. How people see things for what's really true. He knows that he can dig one ditch with his shovel, but 10 people working for him, following his plan, can build a road, a strong place, or an empire. This is an uncomfortable truth. The rich people don't just work hard all the time. They plan and organize things. They take the energy of others and make their own time seem endless. Machiavelli said that leaders should never rely only on themselves, but use others whenever they can. Wealth follows the same rule. Think about the worker. He works hard for a day and gets paid. Think about the person who builds systems. He organizes 10 workers and his influence grows 10 times stronger. Which person is richer? Which person is freer? The answer is clear. To be good at substitution, stop thinking about how much you do. Instead, ask whose energy can work with mine. What structure can make one person into 10? Understand this. Substitution is like getting a lot of power with very little effort. The group sells hard work. The person who is smart sells ideas that make people work harder. And in that deal, power keeps going up forever. The person who trades hard work gets exhausted. The person who trades power gets to be safe and untouchable. Law 7. Illusion. Reality is cheap. Illusion is very valuable. People don't buy what something is. They buy what they think it is. That's why a diamond, which is basically just a rock, can cost a fortune. Why a logo on a piece of fabric becomes something luxurious. Why a worthless piece of paper can control a nation. The person who is in charge understands that appearances are very powerful. They create images, stories, and signals that make people see things in a certain way and give them value. They don't just sell things. They sell people's desires. They don't just offer products. They offer status. And the crowd pays happily, without realizing that they're buying illusions wrapped around ordinary things. Even the famous philosopher Machiavelli knew this. Everyone sees how you seem to be, but only a few really know what you're like. The person in charge takes this to heart. They hide what's real under layers of design while only showing what will get people's attention. If you want to get ahead, you need to reject illusions and accept that wealth comes from appearances. To always be honest is fine, but it won't make you rich. The world doesn't reward telling the truth. It rewards being good at making things seem appealing. To follow this rule, ask yourself, what story does owning this thing tell? What kind of person does buying this make me? Sell that story and you'll never run out of customers. Illusions aren't lies, they're a way to give things meaning. They can turn ordinary things into something valuable, like turning stones into treasures or stories into huge successes. The person who can create illusions can control the flow of money itself. Law 8, Exploitation. The word exploitation scares most people. They think it's cruel, unfair, or evil. But that's not what it's really about. It's about being able to see things that others miss and taking advantage of things that others waste. Markets crash and people get scared, selling their shares at a loss. Meanwhile, the people who know what they're doing buy up the cheap shares, turning their fears into profits. Billions of people waste their time scrolling through social media feeds that don't have much on them. The smart ones capture that attention, turn it into a story, and sell it back as influence, products, or power. Every system has problems, like supply chains, workplaces, or governments. The people who know what they're doing find the gaps in these systems and make a profit from them. Exploitation isn't about hurting people. It's possible to turn your weaknesses into wealth. Fear can be the starting point. Waste can be the material you use. Inefficiency can be an advantage. Most people stay broke not because others are mean to them. They stay broke because they can't see things clearly. They turn away from opportunities that make them uncomfortable. They make excuses instead of making money. And while they hesitate, someone else takes the prize. To master this idea, ask yourself every day, where are people going wrong? Where is energy being wasted? Where is fear making things cheaper? Whoever figures it out first will make the most money. The person who's good at making money doesn't create weaknesses. They use them. If you don't use people's weaknesses, they will use yours. In the money game, there are no neutrals. You're either taking the money or the money is taking from you. Rule 9. Withholding. Some people think being open earns trust. They share their plans, show their limits, and share their feelings, giving others power over them. Being open feels good, but in the money game, it can be deadly. A skilled dealer plays it cool. He keeps his cards close to his chest. He only says what's good for him. He gives out bits of information, pieces of a story, just enough to make you curious or dependent. But not enough to know his next move. What he hides keeps you guessing, keeps you off balance, keeps you chasing. In deals, the average person talks too much. He shares his price, his deadline, his worries. The skilled dealer waits. He listens. He lets the silence do the talking until you're eager to tell him more. By the time he speaks, the game is already rigged. Being quiet builds a mysterious image. That image builds power, and power, once you have it, attracts wealth like a magnet. That's why the richest men often seem quiet, distant, and a bit mysterious. They're not weak. They're not hiding because they're afraid. They're protecting their edge because showing too much is a weakness. To master this trick, train yourself to say less than you know, reveal less than you feel, and show less than you have. Let people wonder what you're thinking, until they try too hard to figure it out. Understand this, the person who talks too much becomes an easy target. The person who keeps quiet becomes hard to reach. Having some mystery to you is not the same as being empty inside. It's like having a strong, safe place, and inside that place, you can build a lot of value. Every tool has a downside. Every rule, if you use it too much, can turn against you and hurt you. The path of someone who tries to take advantage of others is not a safe one. It's a thin line where one wrong move can hurt you badly. Being completely quiet, if you take it too far, can make you invisible to others. You won't disappear like a ghost, but you'll be someone nobody cares about. Being unreadable, if you take it too far, can turn into being paranoid, where you don't trust anyone and you end up hurting your own influence. Being patient, if you take it too far, can turn into doing nothing, which looks like discipline but is actually just laziness. 1. If you use power carelessly, it can quickly fall apart, hurting the people who thought it was strong. A story or a lie, when told well, can be very convincing, but when it's discovered, it can backfire and cause problems. 2. Leaves can fall off a plant, stories can be revealed, and appearances can be broken. When this happens, it can be very painful because once people stop believing in you, it's hard to get them to believe in you again. 3. If you use power in a way that's not careful, it can turn into something cruel, and it can be hard to fix. It's not because their path is safe, but because they've learned how to be careful and walk the line without falling off. They know how to balance being strong with being in control. 5. They're very good at knowing when to be gentle and when to be aggressive. They're always aware of the dangers that are lurking beneath the surface and they know how to stay one step ahead of them. 6. Using power means accepting that there's always a risk involved. If you want to be strong and powerful, you have to be careful not to become too weak or too strong. 7. Being weak can hurt you, but being too strong can also be a problem. The key is to find a balance, not to be soft or weak. Balance is survival. Ideas don't mean much if they're just talk. A tool that's never used is just for show. To become unbeatable, you have to put these rules into practice in the little things you do every day, where most people make mistakes. Conversations. Most people use words to fill the quiet, to prove themselves, to feel noticed. But you know better. Words are valuable, and you should spend them wisely, not waste them. When you talk to someone, stay calm and quiet. Let them open up. Every pause, every disagreement, every hesitation is useful information. Quiet is not nothing. It's a push, a challenge. Most people talk a lot and argue, thinking that being loud makes them strong. But talking is like a fight, disguised as a conversation. Your protection is being hard to read. You show nothing. You don't seem desperate, excited, or scared. You let the other side give away information while you keep quiet. And when you finally say something, the deal starts to go in your favor before they even realize it. Relationships. Money is not just about cash. Influence is also a valuable thing. Most people ruin their influence by being too easy to reach, too emotional, and too predictable. You won't make that mistake. You choose when to be available, when to show your emotions, and when to be mysterious. And because people often want things they can't fully have, your mysterious side will attract them. People will work hard to get your attention, invest in you, and respect you. Businesses, this is where clever ideas and tricks come in. Weak businesses just show customers what they have and what they can do. They focus on facts and logic. But predators do something different. They sell a story, a sense of who they are, and how they make people feel. They create a certain image that makes people think their products are worth more than they really are. Look at Apple, Tesla, and luxury brands. They're all examples of how a good story can turn an object into something special. The key is simple. Don't just show people what something is. Show them what it means to them. Conflict. Most people argue with anyone who disagrees with them, wasting energy to prove their point. But a clever person waits for the right moment to strike. They let their enemies show their weaknesses, use up all their energy, and make mistakes. And when the time is right, they act with precision. Being patient makes success almost guaranteed. Greatness isn't built in one big moment, but in many small steps taken with dedication. When others talk a lot, you stay quiet. When others share their secrets, you keep yours. When others rush in, you wait. When others struggle, you build a solid foundation. Slowly, quietly, the gap between you and others grows. Until one day, they notice you're not like them. They try to catch up, asking for chances, begging for attention, chasing after small amounts of money that disappear as fast as they appear. They exhaust themselves trying to keep up and end up with nothing. But a successful person moves beyond the chase. They become extremely attractive. They position themselves so that money comes to them easily. They don't shout about their worth. They don't beg to be noticed. They move calmly, making smart decisions, until things start working in their favor automatically. At this point, you're not working for money. Money starts working for you. Systems run smoothly in the background. Opportunities come to you naturally. Influence happens quietly. One day, the group looks up and sees that they're following your plan, spending their time, effort, and trust. This is a big change, from being a follower to being a leader, from being controlled to being in control. You don't seek attention. You create a future that's hard to avoid. Your presence may be hard to notice, but your effect is clear. Understand this: true wealth isn't about being loud or flashy. It's about being quiet, planned, and unstoppable. The person who masters being calm, mysterious, and patient no longer needs to chase what they want. They become the center of everything, and once you experience that kind of power, you can never go back to being ordinary again. To follow this path means carrying a contradiction. On one side is being ruthless, on the other is being in control. Use these rules without thinking, and they'll take over you. Use them with clarity and they'll set you free. The ancient Greeks called it letting go, the ability to rise above your emotions, above fear, and above the need to please everyone. Machiavelli called it necessity, the willingness to bend appearances, to give up comfort, to get power. Both talked about the same strong part of yourself, the ability to control yourself before you control others. Understand this. These rules are not suggestions. They are tools. Keeping quiet can control people. Being hard to understand can protect you. Waiting for the right time can be safe. Using what you have to get more power can make you stronger. Telling a story can make people believe you. Replacing hard work with others can free you from stress. Making people believe something that isn't true can make it valuable. Using what others waste can make you rich. Holding back can keep your position safe. Together they form the tools of the hunter. Most people will never use them. They are too emotional, too quick to react, too used to thinking things are fair. They will live and die as prey. But you have already left the group. You have already seen the game for what it is. So now comes the choice. Will you let this knowledge fade, or will you practice it every day until it becomes a part of you? If you're ready to stop being a target and start being the one in control, if you're ready to build something huge and secret, untouchable and unstoppable, then this is your call to action. Subscribe. Not as a favor or a gesture, but as the next step in your transformation. Because the more we go deeper, the darker it gets. And once you cross this line, there is no turning back.